Tarusha is the CEO and co-founder of Oro Pocket, a universal investment platform on blockchain. She was also part of the founding team of ETHX, which was one of the first Ethereum exchanges of India. As you know, Ethereum is one of the digital currencies that is traded. She's an award-winning entrepreneur who has been in the tech space for nearly a decade. She's also a podcast host and an anthology author. Thank you so much, Tarusha, for joining us today. It's truly our honor and privilege to have you on this episode.
Oh, I am so glad you called me. It's it's my honor. It's my pleasure to be here. I'm really happy that you reached out, and I'm looking forward to this. So blockchain is basically a public ledger. It's nothing else but a public ledger where their records are stored. And records they do not necessarily have to be economic in value. Anything that has any kind of value, those records can be stored on blockchain. So that kind of gives obviously makes leeway for smart contracts, for insurance contracts on blockchain. There are so many ways that DeFi is changing the world. DeFi is decentralized finance. So why do we need cryptocurrency? Because with cryptocurrency, the tokenized, if you're tokenizing an asset, then it becomes accessible 24/7. Anybody can access it. It becomes immutable. So the ownership becomes immutable. It's not that you buy something and then somebody can take it away from you. So this kind of would help with. There are so many people, and I think almost every family would understand. There is so much paperwork issues with property disputes, etc. When you put all of this on blockchain, that kind of goes away. You are completely transparent. You're making a system which is trustless, which is peer-to-peer. It doesn't have unnecessary fees involved in it. Like there are third-party fees that are so high, right? To register a house, there is a registration fee. Like you're not just paying for that house, but there is like a huge fee involved there as well. With DeFi, with blockchain, that kind of goes away. The fees are less, the time is negligible, it's almost instant. So in this day and age, it doesn't make sense that if I have to transfer money to say Switzerland to pay a freelancer or to Africa for XYZ, then it takes like over a week, okay, for it to actually hit their bank account. And it doesn't make sense that the kind of money that is charged, it depends actually. What is the weirdest thing is that the more the fees are higher for the poorer the country that you're sending it to. So that's the irony, that shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be that you're creating a monetary system and you are excluding so many people. So there are, I think, I don't have the latest figures, but mostly the entire population on this planet, only a very little fraction has access to banks. Mostly there are cash societies and there are bankless populace that is there. So they don't really have access to a financial system. Blockchain changes all of that. Cryptocurrencies tend to change all of that. They give everybody a level ground. Okay, so that's like asking me to predict the future. But I would ideally, the idealist in me would like to think that the government would like to create policy around it, legalize it, tax it, basically have clear laws around digital currencies, crypto tokens, and blockchain in general. Because the irony here is that the government wants to push for blockchain innovation, but they also want to put a clamp down on cryptocurrencies, which is a very natural sub-product, or what you can say. If you're putting in blockchain in place, then you are essentially tokenizing something. And if you're tokenizing something, then you are creating tokens. So you can't say that, okay, we are going to push for blockchain. Like Niti Aayog has an entire, they have their own chain. They push for a lot of blockchain innovation, yet say that, okay, no, we don't want crypto tokens. I think, they are both two sides to the same coin. And ideally, the government should, as I said, should create policy around it and have clear-cut policy so that the end user is also protected and businesses can thrive in this space and innovation can be driven. But right now, with the kind of the Subhash Garg committee, the kind of bill draft that they have right now, doesn't it's a little scary. But I have also heard from some of my lawyer friends and people in the IMAI that they are looking to stakeholders are speaking to the policymakers, and that particular report by the committee is ultimately it's just a draft, and we don't know what the final thing would look like. Hopefully, before they table it, we'll be able to get some stakeholders to put the right kind of information in those policymakers' heads, and they can come up with something which is actually fruitful and useful for the end user as well as for the companies.